Dear students, today we are going to start second chapter of Hornbill. We are not afraid to die if we can all be together. It is written by Gordon Cook and Ellen East. This story reveals the hardships faced by Gordon Cook when he set out with his family on a voyage round the world. This expedition was taken in the year 1976 in the month of July. So, the narrator, along with his wife Mary and his son Jonathan, who was 6 years old, and daughter Suzanne, who was 7 years old, set sail from Plymouth, England, to duplicate the round the world voyage made 200 years earlier by Captain James Cook. So, they wanted to copy Captain James Cook and also wanted to go round the world following him. And for the longest time, Mary and I is the narrator, Gordon Cook, a 37-year-old businessman. He was a businessman, and they dreamt of sailing in the wake of the famous explorer. Famous explorer is Captain James Cook. And for continuously 16 years, they spent in sharpening their seafaring skills in British waters. They got prepared a boat and they gave it a name, Wave Walker. It was 23-meter long and 30-ton wooden hulled beauty. Its weight was 30 ton. It was made of wood and it had been professionally built to face all types of weather conditions. And they had tested it also in the roughest weather they could find. The first leg of a planned 3 year means their journey, it was supposed to take 3 years when they planned to go round the whole world. So the first phase of their journey, it passed pleasantly. As from the west coast of Africa, they reached to Cape Town without facing any difficulty. Now, after reaching Cape Town, they took two experienced crewmen along with them. One was an American person, his name was Larry Vigil, and another person named Herb Siegler, who belonged to Switzerland. They both accompanied them because now it was time to cross the southern Indian Ocean, which was considered as one of the world's roughest seas. On the second day out of Cape Town, they began to encounter strong winds. For the next few weeks, they blew continuously, and winds did not worry him, but the size of the waves was alarming. He was frightened because of the size of the waves. They were very high. They were high up to 15 meters. So that is why he got scared. It was touching up to the mast of the ship. Mast is the topmost, the pole on which the sail is set. And it is the highest point of the ship. Then on December 25th, they found that they had crossed 3,500 kilometers east of Cape Town. And despite atrocious weather, atrocious is very bad, cruel, they had a wonderful holiday. They celebrated Christmas there on the ship and they did not bother much about the weather. They thought they will be able to cross it. But New Year's Day saw no improvement, means there was no change in the weather. But we reasoned that it had to change soon. They thought that it will soon change and it changed also. But it did not improve. It became worse. Then on the second day of New Year in the morning, the waves were gigantic, very huge. And they were sailing with only a small storm jib. So jib is a triangular stay sail. And they were making 8 knots. Knot is a measuring unit to measure the speed of the ship. We have heard knot earlier also. You make a knot in your tie when you wear it. Now here we come across the new meaning of the word knot. So then the sound of the waves after reaching so high, when they were falling down, it was painful to their ears, and they tried to slow down the speed of the ship so that it doesn't cause, or the waves are not able to cause any harm to the ship. And they double lashed everything. They tied everything tightly, went through life raft drill, attached lifelines, donned oilskins and life jackets. They wore life jackets and became prepared for every adverse situation. The first indication of impending disaster, impending means about to happen, about to start, came at about 6 p.m. with an ominous silence. Earlier, lot of noise was there because of the huge waves, and then there was perfect silence, which was dreadful and which was an indication of some evil to take place, or some mishappening was going to occur. The wind dropped, it stopped, and the sky immediately grew dark. Sky became dark, and then came a growing roar. A very huge wave came there, and they thought that it was a dark cloud, but actually it was not a cloud. It was so high that they couldn't realize that it was actually a wave. And when it fell down with full force, then they were not able to balance themselves. The whole ship was full of water, and the narrator, he fell down into the sea from the ship, and he accepted his approaching death. And after floating there in the water, he started sinking, he started losing consciousness, and he felt that his death was fast approaching, and he accepted it. But unexpectedly, his head popped out of water, and a few meters away, Wave Walker was near capsizing, means overturning. Okay, and then her masts were almost horizontal, so it had turned to one side. That is why the mast became horizontal to the water. Then a wave came which made the boat upright, straight. And then with another wave, the narrator was thrown into the boat, and then he was tossed around like a rag doll. His left ribs cracked, his mouth was filled with water, blood, his teeth were broken, but he was alive, and he found the wheel. Then water was everywhere, and he could feel that the ship had water below. But he dared not abandon the wheel to investigate. He could not leave the steering wheel because there was more risk, even though he knew that the water was continuously filling in the ship. But after some time, all of a sudden, the front hatch opened, and his wife came out informing that they were sinking and the ship was full of water. And then he told his wife to take charge of the wheel. And after giving the charge of the wheel to his wife, he went in order to control the water which was filling in the ship. Then Larry and Herb, he noticed that they both were continuously pumping the water out of the ship just like madmen, without stopping, without leaving it for even for a while. Broken timbers hung at crazy angles, means lot of parts of the ship were broken and they were hanging here and there. And all the things which were in the ship, everything was sloshed about in deep water, just like they were moving around in a with a splashing sound here and there with the force of the water. He half swam, half crawled into the children's cabin. He all of a sudden got worried about the children and asked them if they were all right, and they replied yes. And the daughter just said that her head is hurting little bit, that's it. And he left the children there and came out, though he noticed that there was a bump on the head of the daughter, but he did not have time to take care of her because he had to take care of other things which were more important. After finding a hammer, screws, and canvas, he struggled back on deck with the starboard side bashed open. Starboard side is the right side of the ship. They were taking water with each wave that broke over them, and if he couldn't make some repairs, he knew that the ship will sink and they all will get drowned. So then he managed to stretch canvas and secure waterproof hatch covers across the gaping holes, the wide open holes through which the water was coming inside. He covered those holes. More problems arose when their hand pumps started to block up with the debris floating around. Lot of garbage was floating around, and because of that hand pumps started blocking, because of which they could not pump the water out, and the electric pump got a short circuit, because of which it had already stopped. Then he remembered that there was an extra electric pump, and he went and brought it and he checked, and it was working. So they could throw the water out with the help of that electric pump. Then he remembered that they had another electric pump, this I have already told. Now the night dragged on with an endless, bitterly cold routine of pumping, steering, and working the radio. The whole night, all four of them, the four elders, they were continuously pumping the water out. They were steering the wheel, they were trying to connect with the radio and send signals for the help, but they could not get connected because they were in the remote corner of the world where the signals were very weak, and because of the odd weather also they were not able to forward the signals. Sue's head had swollen alarmingly. She had two enormous black eyes, and she showed them a deep cut on her arm, for which the narrator asked that why she did not report all the injuries in the beginning itself, but the answer which the daughter had given is really very amazing. She said that she didn't want to worry the father when she knew that they were trying to save them all. So, this is the first part of the story. We'll continue in the next part.